Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name's Miranda and today I'm here to discuss episode 7. Can you believe it that we're already on episode 7 of Never Stop Blowing Up from Dimension 20? So this episode basically picked up directly after the last episode where we were raiding the FBI agency that was holding Kingskin and Usha, who I guess we now know is G13 technically since she has been completely hacked by him. The rest of them, including Lucy Santangelo, now Lucy Manhattan, and Johnny Manhattan were going to try and break them out. We also had Dang, who had Liv's MacGuffin with him, the bag of cocaine with a little bit of blood mixed in it, who had taken the way out before everything went down to try and get the MacGuffin out of there and was heading toward a radio tower. So we opened back up with Dang, and I do have to say that, like, Dang is just the character journey he has been on just in this 7 episodes alone is so amazing to watch. Like, he started out on such a high, and if we're looking at Dang, how Dang was like, everything was kind of really easy for him. Like, he was the suave, sophisticated James Bond-esque character, and he was fitting that role perfectly. He was good at the stuff he was doing, and he was excelling at it, and happy that he was excelling at it. In the last episode, we kind of saw what happened when it wasn't going so great anymore. Things were getting scary. I would say it's the moment in, like, the Jumanji. Again, I'm talking about the remake Jumanji movies, not the original, but when you get down to your last life, how they have the 3 lives on their tattoo, like hands, when you get down to your last life, and now it's like, okay, this isn't really fun, kooky times anymore, right? Now it's like, now we've got something serious, and that's where they all kind of pull back and get scared because the fact of them not being able to make it home is a real possibility. So Dang going through this existential crisis in this moment of what happens when you're not good at the thing you're good at anymore and how easy it is to just turn tail and run, but how that isn't really helpful at the end of the day for anyone, let alone yourself, heads to a radio tower that looks familiar from what he connects to. I didn't even remember this, but in episode 1 we had seen he had like a little radio poster for something that he wanted to do that he had taken down and kind of trying to hide from Russell when he walked in. So he goes to the tower, and I think most shocking of all in this episode, out of all the stuff that happened, we meet someone who also got sucked into the game. They got sucked in 30 years ago, and in the outside world, they are dying. So they've chosen to stay here. I mean, they did lose their MacGuffin, but they've also chosen to stay here and try and make a difference in any way they can. I really like that they were like, yeah, they're in this movie where these people aren't real or anything like that, but they're helping them fight back in a way of, like, you know, announcing when things are coming, arming children that might get attacked and stuff like that. And they really had this great heart-to-heart with Dang about how sometimes it's easy, right? And I think definitely I relate to this. I think a lot of people can, to just go with the flow. Never make any big moves, never make any waves, and it's easy that way. You don't have to ever really worry about conflict or disappointment or anything like that because you're just okay with whatever comes. But at the same time, the catch to that is you're not making any waves yourself. You're not saying something that you're passionate about. It's kind of like that saying, if you stand for nothing, you'll fall for anything, right? It's like Dang realizes that he's been holding himself back out of the fear that, like, it'll shake things up or he won't be good at it. And that's just not a way to live life, because that's not living. And this person here is existing proof of, yeah, they're living their life and never stop blowing up, but in the outside world, they know that if they ever do get back there, it's kind of too late for them in a way to really make monumental changes. And I just think that was really great to see Dang connect to someone who could kind of understand where he's coming from, because I do think we've seen Russell be very understanding of, like, where Dang is and meeting him at his level and not, like, trying to force him to do anything or encourage him to be like, hey, like, why don't you want to do this or something like that. Like, very respectful of him. But again, I think that is a detriment, Dang is realizing, to who he is in his life, because it's like, if you're just coasting through, then what can you really say? What's really yours if you don't ever really have anything that you want to fight for, try for, or risk having the disappointment for? And I just think that was a monumental moment for Dang's character, especially as he had been struggling so much in the last episode with Greg Stocks and Greg being disappointed and not understanding, like, why this wasn't all going great for them, and Dang getting frustrated with that and scared, frankly. So I think seeing them connect in this moment and Dang realize that when they do get back to the real world, he's going to make some changes to actually, like, go out and try and not just coast and not make waves. And I think that's just so amazing. Jacob's choices, like I said, character-wise for Dang, have just been awe-inspiring. Like, I love that he's new to this table and he's not afraid to take these big emotional swings and, like, take a part of the story for Dang, because I do think it's important to explore that kind of just apathy and how in a way it can seem good, and it can be kind of like when you're like, oh, you're so like, you're such a peacekeeper or something like that, but then at the same time it's like, okay, but what happens if you get mad and everyone else is like keeping the peace? Like if you're the one that's kind of the person making sure everyone gets along and not changing anything up, what happens when you want to change something up or you get mad? Like who is that to you then? And that's not fair to always put that on yourself. So I just think, coupled with like what we got from Wendell, I think last episode, with really realizing like that family should treat you right, and that like he's going to have a confrontation with his brothers, but he can handle it. This with Dang, realizing that he is made for more and he can do more, and he has to trust himself that it's not always going to be pretty, it's not going to be easy, but it's going to be meaningful and it's going to be worthwhile. Just so beautiful. Like the emotional journeys that all these characters so far have gone on. I'm very excited for Liv's too. We got kind of like snippets of hers this episode, with finding out that Kingskin has a similar background-ish to what she actually has in the real world right now, where he was kind of destined to be this great guy. He was super successful. He was very smart. He had like all kind of it all coming together for him, and instead he chose to go down a life of crime, which is, again, a bigger step, I think, than Liv just stealing from, like, a Walgreens or something like that. But you do see those connections where it's, like, I think people's definition of success and, like, throwing your life away is very arbitrary. And, like, we saw Haldwell kind of saying, like, you could have had it all. You could have been the man in charge and power. And Liv, as Kingskin, was like, I'm fine with my life. Like, I like my choices. I like my life. I don't need to be, like, what your definition of success is. It was also wild that a guy who, like, I kept waiting for them to call it out, that a guy who, like, is literally standing in a barrel full of his own pee is trying to tell you that you're the one that messed up your life and is on the wrong side. Because I'm like, if anyone in a barrel full of their own pee is trying to tell me that I've made the wrong choices, either I have severely messed up in my life to get to that point, or I know that I'm in the right. You know what I mean? Like, it was just wild. We also don't have to deal with Haldwell anymore, which is, I did not think that was going to be wrapped up so quickly. It does seem like there's questions that I still have about who exactly, like, what side he was on, what side he was playing, especially with, like, the Shadow Falcon protocol stuff. But Jennifer Drips drowned him in his own pee. She dripped him to death with his own pee. So we don't have to worry about him anymore, but it does raise questions for me about, like, who is going to be. I guess there's not really a big bad. Like, we know Impresario is kind of like the one that is connected to them all, but I just feel like because he isn't like an overarching presence in a lot of them, that he doesn't seem that intimidating or anything like that. I also feel like the only one that I would actually be worried for in terms of like stopping them from getting out of this movie and into the real world would be G13, but we also dealt with that. I have to say, I have loved Alex forever and a day, like ever since they were in Mentopolis. I love them as Conrad Shins, but there is just something about them in this episode that made me fall even more in love. I think it was when they brought up the idea of brain surgery to crushing a skull, really, in terms of brain surgery, but to get G13 out of Usha and like framing it as like a chiropractic adjustment of like, you just need to like crack the thing the right way. But the way they said it, where they were like, wait. Like, first of all, I just love that like they're such like a like unopposing figure most of the time, but when they have an idea, it is much like Taco Count. When they have an idea, they're like, everyone needs to hear this. Wait. So Alex is like, wait. What if I, being a skull crusher, crush G13's skull the perfect amount? Like, every time they just kept saying the perfect amount, the way they were saying it was cracking me up.
Liv is like, you guys tell me if this is a terrible idea. What if I try to crush G13's skull the perfect amount?
It's bad. Maybe let's just tie her up a little bit, right? To shake Usha back.
It's just how at a table with Allie and Reika do you come up with that wild of an idea, right? Like, I would expect that from Reika. I would expect that from Allie. But Alex just pulling that out of nowhere, being like, what if I crush G13's skull the perfect amount? And that just like resets everything. And the image of just like cracking someone's skull and like readjusting their personality is so funny. And it was already like the precedent kind of set up with Dang farting. How could I not bring that up before then? But Dang farting and like the fart being so strong that it changed those agents' like political allegiance. Like, they will be different men. And then we also got Jennifer Drips neck snapping someone to, like, his life will be better for it. Like, he's in a coma for like 4 months, but when he wakes up, his life will be better. Like, it was just really funny how, like, they're incorporating that, like, ridiculous action hero stuff, right? Of, like, this makes no sense, but it's the setting, so you kind of just completely roll with it. Like, we had someone last time who literally grabbed a cannonball sniper and threw it back at people. Every time I think, like, we've reached the peak of wildness of like, it can't get more ridiculous than this. I guess similar to the Fast and Furious movies, it gets more wild. Like, drowning a man in a barrel of his own piss who can't stop peeing because he was hit by a car so badly that his clothes were rocked off. Then you had neck snapping a man into a coma for 4 months who will wake up better, as a better human being, farting so loud and obnoxiously that people are knocked out and their political ideology is changed for the better when they wake up. And then we also had Russell as Jennifer Drips have a really nice moment of connecting to Jennifer for kind of like the first time, because Jennifer's kind of been hanging back but like helping Russell pilot the body. But when I really liked how Ali flavored killing Haldwell as like he goes to like grab Jennifer's hips or some kind of other part of just how like men are just like so tactile with women when like there's no need to be, and how that's just so annoying, and how Jennifer Drips is so good at being a burglar and assassin and all this stuff, but really anyone always talks about is like her skin tight outfit and like how she looks and stuff like that, and how that's just so annoying at best on most days and fear-inducing on worst days, and how Jennifer was just like, don't you get it? Like, don't you get how this feels? And Russell was like, wait, yeah, this sucks. Like, I just really, really love that moment. And that was like a good moment of them connecting that we hadn't seen in a way before. So I really, really liked that. Then the big thing, like I said, was the skull crushing to get Usha back. I saw some people were disappointed that G13 is gone already. I don't know if he's fully gone. I feel like that guy's never fully gone, but I do love that people have also been pointing out if he does get into the real world, he will be severely disappointed because Never Stop Blowing Up is like peak action movie. Like, he's not going to get that kind of action in this world any day of the week. I did really like Rika's portrayal of G13. Like, I will miss that. Just how like mean and snarky and rude he is to people. How he's like, why would I care about that or something like that. And even then, like, when Russell realized like that wasn't Usha, that they were like, wait, what's your grandkid's name? And G13 was like, why the heck do I need to tell you that? And they realized it. Like, that was just a really fun scene, but I also like getting to see Rika kind of play around with G13's character more, so I will miss that because he's just so rude and swat. It's just like, you care so much about these characters, so it's just funny to see. Like, you rarely see a PC who's a douche. Like, it reminds me of when Zach was playing the original Norman Skip in Starstruck Odyssey and was just so rude, and you were like, I don't know how to feel about this because it's different and it's entertaining, but you're not used to seeing them just be mean. So yeah, next episode we are going to the club to try and find the MacGuffins that we are missing. So currently it's Dang's MacGuffin is missing, but we kind of know where that is. It's somewhere in the Santo Patron cattle, what would you call that? Spy agency, I guess, right? It's somewhere there, and they texted St. Jude to meet up at the club, and then someone stole Iffy's dynamite. I'm concerned that this is Dave. I feel like he's still crawling around somewhere, and Brennan definitely circumnavigated that question about, like, is Dave still here when they were talking to Barsimian, so I feel like it would make sense that he's, like, kind of pissed and, like, stole. I just feel like you would have to know that that's important to steal the dynamite, right? And I feel like Dave might know. He might not know, but I feel like he also might know. I don't know if he talked to Barsimian or not, but it just seems very targeted to specifically steal the dynamite. So I feel like either it's Impresario doing something weird with Vic because we know he's kind of got his hands in everything, or it is Dave like trying to keep them or leverage them into getting back to Never Stop Blowing Up. I have seen people theorize that like Dave isn't gonna want to go back to the real world because, like, depending on who he is here, like, he could be like a crime boss or like someone who's really in charge of power instead of like a guy who's closing up his video store in the real world and probably has like no money. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's maybe like a thing of like how they said they all have to leave together. If he's like, I'm not leaving, you know, so like they have to try and somehow get him to also leave, or he's trying to get them to stay here by getting rid of their MacGuffins or something like that. The Santo Patron thing is also connected in a way to the Shadow Falcon protocol, so I feel like there could be questions about that. I just really hope that it's like an easy thing to get the two. I don't think the dynamite's going to be easy to get back. I hope the cards are, but I feel like everyone's kind of assuming the cards are going to be easy to get back, so because of that, they're not. Like, they're gonna be like, oh, did you turn traitor or something, and like not want to give him the cards back at all. So I'm just excited because this has definitely been like a big mystery that we've had for like the last 2-3 episodes, is finding out who took this dynamite and why exactly, and how they're gonna get it back. So we have 4 MacGuffins now. We just need the last 2, and then boom, baby, we are home, as long as we can get Barsimian. So there's definitely still stressful stuff going on, because it's like, are we gonna get them? Is Barsimian gonna be okay? Like, all this other kind of stuff. But I definitely feel more hopeful that like we've got 4 of them. One of the bad guys that we know, Hallwell, is gone. G13 is gone for now, so I feel like they're in the best spot to possibly be, but there are still 8, 9, 10, 3 episodes left. I feel like the last episode is definitely going to be more, I don't know how much, but definitely like back in Lake Elsinore. So I feel like these next 2 episodes are really going to be meaty in what they're going to contain, trying to get those MacGuffins and keep the ones we do have. So yeah, if you have seen this episode, let me know what you thought about it down below in the comments. Thank you guys all so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!